Hello there and welcome to the channel. This is Nerd.World Films and my latest Nerd Talks episode. This, to be clear, is not necessarily a review. It is just me having a conversation about something that I love and I hope you love as well, and that for me is Star Trek, and I'm a massive Trekkie. Hence why I started a series on every single Star Trek movie that has been done, and tonight we are on Star Trek First Contact, the 8th installment, and widely regarded as the best in the Next Generation era of movies. It obviously stars Patrick Stewart, Jonathon Frakes, Marina Sirtis, Gates McFadden, and a whole host of other people, including several cameos from the Voyager crew. And I should also quickly note that this video is brought to you in collaboration with the Beard Struggle. They focus mostly on beard related products, obviously from the name, but we'll get to them a little later in the video. We're not going to talk about them now, so later. Before we get started, please like, share, subscribe and comment down below. Hit the bell notification icon if you think this video or any others on this channel are worth it, and also check out my other two channels, Nerd.World and Nerd.World History, that are both linked in the description below. And that's pretty much everything. Let's just get started. The film starts off with what is the beauty shot, and it is all over the internet, this thing, the beauty shot of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701E, the brand new cinematic styled Sovereign class starship, the new flagship of the Federation and Starfleet under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard after the destruction of the Enterprise D. The ship is turning into the camera. It is a beautiful shot. They are patrolling the Romulan neutral zone, and they learn, although we initially learn from Picard that he's picked up some bad news. He's not in a great mood, he's listening to music, and Commander Riker interrupts but won't tell him what's wrong. But Riker tells him, we got a problem, you need to come see this. Cliche, sorry cinema sins. Anyway, and then he goes to have a look, and they find out the Borg have invaded Federation space, but the Enterprise is being instructed to remain on the Romulan neutral zone in case the Romulans try to take advantage of the situation. And after a few scans determining nothing but a few particles of space dust looking a little bit neater, Picard decides to violate orders, practically to a round of applause from his crew, and they set course for Earth. They arrive to find a Borg cube in the midst of a huge attack from Starfleet. Bear in mind, the Federation was at war with the Dominion at this time, so Earth was pretty well defended. There was a lot of ships in here. It wasn't like the usual, oh, there's only one ship in a position to go and intervene. No, that's always been stupid. But anyway, they find out the Admiral's flagship has been destroyed. Picard takes command of the fleet and orders them to concentrate their fire on a single location that I recently learnt was the waste extraction facility. So that's some combustible shit going on there that blew up this cube, and they managed to destroy the cube after saving the crew of the USS Defiant after Worf was about to decide today was a good day to die and ram the cube, after the Defiant wasn't making a great deal of an impression on the cube on its own anyway. Bear in mind, the Defiant class ship was designed specifically to fight the Borg after the Battle of Wolf 359. Now they rescue them, but as the cube is exploding, a sort of escape ship, a 600-meter across Borg sphere, ejects from the cube and heads straight for Earth. The Enterprise goes in a pursuit course with the intention of destroying it, but then the probe, this ship, creates a chronometric vortex, basically time travel. Shoots back in time, the Enterprise is caught in the wake, and as they're traveling they see that Earth has a population of billions of Borg drones living on it now, but no humans. So they carry on back in time to stop the Borg from doing whatever they're doing. They arrive a few moments after the Borg, maybe a minute or so, but it's enough time for the Borg to have started to open fire on the surface at a particular area of Montana in the United States, a missile silo specifically. They destroy the sphere, and then Picard wants to know what they've been firing at. And they quickly learn what it was. He gets the exact date, and oh no, it's a few days before first contact, and they've been firing on Zephyr Cochrane's launch installation for the Phoenix, the first independently built warp vessel constructed by humans. And they have to beam down in 21st century garb and try to find out if the Phoenix has been damaged or if Zephyr Cochrane has been killed, and also probably to make sure there was no Borg down on the surface. Let's face it, they probably had to look for that too. Now, unbeknownst to them, while the away team is on the surface, the ship starts to experience problems with climate control and things. They tell Picard that they're experiencing malfunctions. He returns to the ship because he gets a sort of sense. Picard, we learn in this, is still somewhat linked to the Borg. Even though the cybernetics have all been removed, it's like you can take the man out of the collective, but you can't take the collective out of the man. You can still sense their presence. He knows the Borg are still around. He returns to the Enterprise, but doesn't bother telling anyone on the ground where he's going or why he's going back up to the Enterprise. Leaves Riker in charge. Next thing we know, they find Zephyr Cochrane's quite alive and drunk, and Deanna is quite alive and drunk with him, being hit on. And she spent the last few hours trying to keep his hands off of her. Now, we then learn that the Borg have indeed boarded the Enterprise. They cut them off from the surface and start to try to make modifications to the ship to try and take over it. And that's where things start to really kick off, because on the surface they've now got to fix the Phoenix and make sure it launches on time, that it will rendezvous with its destiny, a Vulcan science vessel which happens to be passing through the system. Not interested in Earth specifically, but will change its mind when it realizes that humans have developed warp capability. And Picard is wrestling with a load of Borg aboard his ship. They try to get rid of them, they fail, Data is captured, oh no, and they also begin to lose deck by deck as they come up. Now, before these events, they'd beamed up Lily, who is a companion of Zephyr Cochrane. She needed urgent medical attention due to radiation sickness. They couldn't just allow her to die, but now with the Borg aboard and all the rest of it, they'd had to wake her up. The EMH, cameo from Robert Picardo, tries to stop the Borg while they make an escape, and with her, but she wanders off. Picard eventually finds her, she pulls his face, she knocks him to the side, grabs his phaser, nearly vaporizes him, and he offers her a one-way ticket back down to the surface of the planet via a sort of airlock. She decides to not go for that option and stick with him. They go to the holodeck, boom boom. They go into what is effectively the holodeck program of choice for Captain Picard and his new companion. They go in there, they turn off the safeties, they shoot up the drones, which always made me wonder why didn't they use bullet weapons against the Borg, because clearly they weren't adapted to those weapons. Primitive seems to work against the Borg as opposed to very advanced. Anyway, off topic. While all this is going on, the Enterprise is still losing deck after deck after deck. Now Data has been captured, and the Borg Queen, as we learn, who is also aboard the ship, is attempting to seduce him into becoming part of the collective, because they can't break the fractal encryption code that he's put on the ship's main computer to prevent the Borg taking control of the ship and using it to continue the attack on Earth and basically assimilate the entire crew of the Enterprise without them being able to stop them, because they'd have had control of it. Now, as they can't break and they tried, the positronic encryptions in Data's brain, or at least not quick enough for to secure victory, they begin grafting organic tissue onto Data and trying to make him wake up. He's seduced by the Queen, quite literally, and that's something I don't want to see, but you know, he is fully functional, programmed in multiple techniques. He'd have to be with a S&M bondage queen of the Borg. Anyway, again, getting off topic. She believes that he's been seduced by them, although we later learn that it was only attempted for 1.21 seconds, which for an android is an eternity for him to think about it. But he decided, nah, I'm going to have nothing to do with that, but he carries on the act, eventually knocking out the code. Picard orders the ship to be blown up, but he changes his mind to carry on the fight, orders the crew to abandon ship. Well, no, rephrase that. He then orders the ship to be blown up. He initially wasn't want to sacrifice the Enterprise after his big Moby Dick speech and Lily calling him out for being a dick. He does go with it. We'll blow up the ship. War if you're a coward, war if you're not a coward. Now we'll go down to the surface of the planet and live out our lives somewhere on an island out of history's way. But with Data's help, the Queen is able to deactivate the encryption code. But then when he fires the quantum torpedoes, which again is massive amounts of overkill for dealing with the Phoenix, one photon torpedo, one phaser blast would have done. It didn't exactly have shields. A quantum torpedo was massive overkill. And he fired 3 of the damn things, but they missed. He then destroyed one of the Thalaron containment tanks, liquefying all the organic tissue in the area, notably the Borg. Now, Data didn't need his organic tissue to survive, but Borg are more true cybernetics. Data was built as an android. It didn't need organic components. So the Queen is then killed as Picard escapes, and effectively they recover the crew. First Contact goes ahead as scheduled. Zephyr and Cochrane does a little dance for the Vulcan captain, and they return to the future after replicating the Borg's the Borg's chronometric vortex. And I'm assuming they made it back to the exact same temporal coordinates that they left from. And that, in a nutshell, is the plot of Star Trek First Contact. It has some fantastic scenes, particularly the zero gravity scene on the outer hull with Lieutenant Hawk, Captain Picard and Commander Worf taking on a bunch of Borg drones that are attempting to modify the deflector dish into an interplexing beacon in order to contact the Borg collective living in the 24th century and probably get them to come as reinforcements. This is also how Seven of Nine was aware of the events of First Contact, most likely, as they must have got some kind of signal out, because she was aware that there were Borg present at First Contact to witness it, or at least around. Something she doesn't explain to the crew of Voyager, but she does mention it. Now, as I said, it's a brilliant film, great scenes, but let's move on to the next part of this video. Now this film is Star Trek through and through. The cast, Next Generation cast, cameos, Voyager, director Jonathon Frakes. You just don't get any more of the cream of Star Trek. And as I've said in one of my previous videos, people that know it are going to do it the best, usually. And Jonathon Frakes, Patrick Stewart, people like this, they know the franchise, they know what they're doing, they know what they're making, and just, I mean, it is an amazing cast. Alice Krieg, James Cromwell, many of them as well. Are also Star Trek veterans. James Cromwell appeared in an episode of The Next Generation, and of course, just all of these: LeVar Burton, Brent Spiner, Jonathon Frakes, Patrick Stewart, Gates McFadden, Michael Dorn. Amazing. And then again, Neil McDonough, decent actor, has also appeared in one of my favourite films that he appeared in, was called Ravenous, where he plays a villain. It's a film about cannibalism and power you get from eating other human beings. The film's nuts. Check it out, seriously. May actually do a video on it one day. Dwight Schultz, the A-Team. Come on. Lieutenant Barclay. Robert Picardo, and of course this whole film also has Ethan Phillips as a holodeck character who gets scanned by the Borg. All just fantastic. I don't really think we need to go into all of their film careers and everything, because let's face it, we know who these people are. And it does have one of the greatest strengths of this film is that it, from a fan point of view, particularly from a fan point of view, it's an enjoyable film because it feeds on the previous storylines from The Next Generation and others, and it brings it all together in a very epic conclusion, in my opinion. The Borg are still scary in First Contact. And incidentally, this was the first Star Trek film I ever went to the cinema to see. I think I might have gone to see Generations, but I don't think I did. I remember when I was a kid being taken to see this, and this was epic at the cinema. Just watching this thing in, like, back then I think it was in stereo surround sound at the cinema, the whole building shaking as the cube flies over. It was amazing to watch at the cinema, and a hell of an experience. But anyway, moving away from the cast, and of course director, again, same people, let's move on to the next segment. Before we go any further, I'd just like to plug the Beard Struggle. They, of course, are all about men's grooming, maintaining a healthy and beautiful, glorious beard. Probably you can do one better than mine, because today I've just tied it up because it's nicer and easier, but they sell oils, they sell balms, conditioners, a very nice set of hair straighteners, well, beard straighteners that I have just ordered, as well as various other things. They are fantastic, and the adverts they create for their products are amazing. They're brilliant. They're so funny. Seriously, look them up on YouTube. They are great. There is a link in the description below that they've given me to give out to all of my viewers, and if you click on that link and follow it to their website, you'll get a 15% discount on your first purchases, whatever you want to buy. I would really advise or recommend the straighteners because they are invaluable to me, because my natural hair is very curly, also blonde when I had it. The facial hair not so much. Back parts of it are even going grey now. But when I think you can see it a little bit with this thing, it's curling again. I have to straighten it, I have to apply oils, and I get them from the Beard Struggle. And they're great. And also very fragrant, especially at this time of year. I've noticed having to wear a mask, which I have to do with my day job. Under the mask, smells very nice. With that said, let's continue with the video. And at the end, when you finish watching it, go check out the Beard Struggle. One of the things about this movie that I think was a bit of a lost opportunity, and it was done mostly due to time and budget, but in the original screenplay, when the Enterprise zooms in to engage the Borg, it was meant to be as like an answer to the question, why did the Borg only ever send one ship? There was actually meant to be a fleet of cubes. Some of them already defeated, many of them still fighting, and Starfleet, desperately trying to defeat them. But there were actually meant to be multiple cubes, not just one. But partly and mostly, to be fair, due to budget and time, as I said, but also partly, I think maybe it would have done a bit like what Voyager did and demystified the Borg a little bit. It would have made them less of a threat if they felt they needed to send so many ships to overwhelm Starfleet and humanity so far from their own territory. Anyway, but I thought that would have still been cinematically beautiful. A beautiful shot. It would have been fantastic. Some other interesting facts, like I said before, it's like, what part of the ship does the cube actually get hit? And according to, I believe it was Rick Berman, I think, stated that it was actually meant to be the waste recycling area was sort of they had in their head canon. So the cube is literally being blown up through its trash compactor. It's an interesting idea. It's not canonical, but it was kind of like what's going on in the back of their minds. It's still kind of interesting, because they have to be hitting something, and what are they hitting? Because the sphere is destroyed by just a few quantum torpedoes. Another one that I think would have been interesting is all the behind-the-scenes ideas they had for the Borg Queen, and she went through several redesigns, including having a large rollerball as her lower body. Another one which I thought looked a bit like, kind of more Doctor Who in my opinion, where she had basically a big spider lower body. They were experimenting with the ideas of not making her necessarily humanoid, but just making her form and movement the most efficient as possible, because that's might be what the Borg go for, because realistically only her upper torso is still organic. The body is fully mechanical, at least it seems to be, unless for whatever reason there's actually flesh underneath that sort of bondage suit that she wears. What has to be my favourite piece of trivia was something that I learned, and I believe I went into this in one of my videos on my sister channel, Nerd.World. Quick plug there. The Vulcan who actually first sets foot on Earth is named Solkar, and he is actually the father of Sarek, and therefore the grandfather of Spock, Cyborg, and I suppose adoptively Michael Burnham as well. And I think I covered that in one of my Mirror Universe episodes on that channel. Go look at them, go watch them. They're good, trust me. So I'm not going to go into everything that's trivia about this one, but that's definitely my favourite piece of little random trivia they wanted to do. There's always a lot of, seems to be tenuous connections, like to Paul's grandmother ending up on Earth at one point and stuff like that. They seem to like to throw in Star Trek every now and again. Still cool. So anyway, tell me in the comments below what you think of this film, and I'm going to tell you what I think of it with my score, and it is a full 6 out of 6. It gets the full house, the fanfare. 6 out of 6. This film is bloody amazing, not only because it's the first Star Trek film that I ever went to watch at the cinema, and it's up there. Sometimes, when I'm thinking to myself, what is my favourite Star Trek movie? And I do think about this as a Trekkie. And it's Wrath of Khan, it's First Contact, sometimes it's The Voyage Home. Usually I default to Wrath of Khan, First Contact, but this one, unlike Wrath of Khan, which was released a couple of years before I was even born, more than a couple of years actually, this one was it's my generation of a film. I am the next generation, basically. So I got to see this at the cinema and I loved it, and it holds a special place for me with that. So a bit tainted, but then again, it is a fantastic film and is generally heralded as the best of the next generation era movies. With all that said, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below, and don't forget to click on the link below to visit the Beard Struggles website. If you go through the link, that's how you get the 15% discount on your purchases. So, happy shopping. With all that said, if you made it all right in the video, thank you for watching, and bye bye.